Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And normally we would dive into some bit of news of some sort or some kind of chit-chat about a thing.
Yeah, ease you in.
Yeah.
Feel comfortable.
Nope, not today. Today's going to be the J&J COVID shot of episodes. It's one, you can feel it going in, and it's going to take a while.
And we're doing our best.
Yeah, it's going to help you out in the future, but in the moment, it's like my arm is sore, I'm very tired, and I'm strangely grumpy at everything. But today marks the first of a series that I am incredibly excited about, where we do a bit of a rundown on the various weird and strange elections coming up in America's 2022 midterms, entitled Preview 2022.
Yeah, you're excited about this because you like things that are terrible.
Yeah, I like new things that are currently ongoing.
Whereas I will sit here and wonder, what are you doing for self-care, Dusty?
Oh man, it's great. I don't know, recreational things, and that helps.
Yeah.
I've been feeding fish, that helps. I don't own any fish, but I feed them. Yeah, basic self-care. So like I said, we're going to be going over just we're not going to be going over every election in America. We're not going to do all congressional races, all Secretary of State and comptroller things. I'm only trying to find ones where chaos reigns and no one is a winner.
Oh.
And probably a few happy stories, but we'll see when those show up.
Don't lie to me.
Look, I don't know how. Look, we've all seen Inside. We've all learned to kill our optimism under a pillow and just, it's fine.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's the old Adam Conover trope, it's better to know. And it's better to not be blindsided by the rise of fascism in other places. Speaking of which, we're going to be talking about today, in Preview 2022, the Idaho Gubernatorial race, specifically the GOP primary, which I know that already probably makes you feel very safe and comforted. Isn't that correct? Yeah, like a warm blanket covered in bees.
Yeah, like a warm blanket handed to you by a white man who just got off a boat in 1630.
Would you like this blanket?
Hey, don't mind my cough.
I come from the seas. I bring with me secrets. No, I'm not the devil. Anyway. So going into 2022, I think it's important for our non-American listeners, and probably our American listeners, to kind of know what's in stake for the 2022 election in general.
Yeah.
And it's mostly to use a Sinbad trope, bitches be fighting.
Oh my God.
So in the Democrats, there's a weird power struggle going on that can kind of best be described as boomers don't ever want to retire. And so there is a strong youth movement going on in the Democrat Party that is trying to make a very strong progressive push from the left, or even just a youthful push to get, folks who might be around for more than one term into office. And the establishment Democrats, seeing this future wave of change and a chance to possibly curate some new voices to be able to mentor a bunch of excited and happy people, are taking this opportunity to try to crush their dreams as quickly as possible and to continue on as if life is immortal.
To remind people that white Republican voters might be alienated from progressive Democrats and the progressive Democrats pushing back saying, yeah, they've never voted for us and they never will.
Especially now, not ever.
More than ever, never.
Yeah. So there's that. And then on the Republican side of things, it's a question of whether, people are going to return back to the way the Republicans were 8 years ago.
Nope.
Or if things are just now fascist-tastic. But, I feel like that's the way it's going to go. But I was feeling that way back in, say, 2018. And it wasn't as big of a wave as I thought was going to happen. I mean, the Democrats retook some stuff. So who knows? But also here in America, we have a thing called the census. And the census, you count how many people are where. And then based on that, it decides how many Congress folk you get per state. Some states are losing some, like Illinois. Some states are gaining some, like Montana. And this means that every state now gets to redistrict, and they're not supposed to be redistricted in favor of the party that's in power in the state.
Right.
But
right.
That's usually what happens.
Right. We also just mention too, in terms of the inter-party factions, there's always been this obnoxious response from Republicans to Democrats of Dems in disarray. And it just feels like, no, we're fine. But I do feel like now is the era of conservatives in chaos. And I just really want that to take off. Cons in chaos.
Oh, that would be great. I would love that. And Dems in disarray really isn't accurate. It's more like weird family members won't let us get a job.
Yeah.
It's more that.
Right.
I mean, they're very much in control, and the control they want is staying in power.
Like, you wouldn't leave a family Thanksgiving party being like, Wilson family in disarray. It's like, that just seems silly.
I mean, I don't know what Thanksgivings have been to at our house, but
touche.
Yeah, it's kind of akin to folks being like, look, Grandma, you used to make really amazing turkeys for Thanksgiving. They were the best. They were really good. You got the crisp on the skin so well so long ago. Your oven doesn't work as well as it used to. You haven't kept up with the new spices and the things that people like now. Cardamom's a thing. I don't know if that goes on turkey, but it's a thing. You know, there are all these internet stuffings that you can do that are, seem weird, but are really good for everyone.
Please stop with the racial slurs just because a new family member brought rice and beans.
Oh,
That's
God.
Cool. The
Yeah.
food is good. It balances out the other options.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
In fact, we didn't have enough food and we really needed the rice and beans. I could go on.
Yeah. Not everyone's going to eat your shitty fucking pasta salad.
Yeah.
And this is why Democratic primaries are important. Do you want something that's going to help you eat more Thanksgiving dinner, or something that's going to put you to sleep? And then when you wake up, you're in a chair watching football and you might have pooped yourself.
Oh my God.
So, Dem's not in disarray. Dem's just having a weird Thanksgiving.
We're not arguing. We're just having a discussion.
100%. And the discussion is anyone under 40 needs to leave.
Yes.
But another thing I do want to bring up before I forget too is the fact that there seem to be a lot of Democrats who really just want to believe that Trump and Trumpism is gone because of an election. I've been seeing so many articles of people just being like, oh, in the post-Trump world, how are things going to be? And people scoffing at the idea that Trump is leading in the polls as of right now with Republicans. And it makes me just want to shake them. Like, not hard, but just like a firm once. Just a good once. Just be like, I yelled at you in 2016. Don't make me do it again.
Just like a perfect share slap. Snap out of it.
Oh my God, yes. And yeah, I definitely get the feeling that with establishment Democrats, there's this feeling of wanting to move on and go back to the way things used to be, as if you can like shove fascism back in the toothpaste bottle.
If the pandemic has taught us anything, it is that we are still in a pandemic, and so goes with Trump fascism.
Yeah, this is just what it is now, and you could either accept that and change the way you fight because of it, or you could just keep trying to ignore it and pretending like everything's going to be okay. And I don't know, keep the filibuster in place, I guess. This is going to be really, really funny in 2024 when the Republicans just get rid of the filibuster out of nowhere.
I just had like a surge from future Una of the anger future Una will feel in that moment, and just like pass back to me.
Take that anger,
like
use it and use it to warm yourself when we're hiding in the woods in 2026.
Can we get to Idaho?
Yeah, we can talk about Idaho. This is just this race in Idaho has very clearly shaped my mental health for this episode.
This is why I ask about your self-care regimen.
Look, every otother day but the day that we record is fine.
Oh my God. This is a lie. I know how much research you do.
Okay, 3 of the 7 days a week are fine.
Dude, oh my God. It's a minority of days.
Can you imagine if and when we get a Patreon and all of a sudden I'm paid to feel terrible most of the time? It'd be like, I don't know, having a job.
Oh no.
Anyway, this is going on too long already. Anyway, here are we in Idaho, 2022. And so I think the big question going into 2024, like I said before, is how much of a push is fascism going to have in a lot of these GOP primaries? And Idaho in and of itself is kind of a weird state in some regards. It has the second largest Mormon population outside of Utah. Oh, yeah. And at least in the 2016-2020 elections, Mormons have shown a larger dislike towards Donald Trump and Trumpism in general than a lot of other conservatives typically have. Most notably, Evan McMullin performed super well in 2016 in Utah and got like 7% of the votes in Idaho as a conservative alternative to Donald Trump. So going into that is going to be really interesting. But there's been a lot of stuff going on in Idaho recently that kind of makes it seem like Trumpism might actually get its second wind and be able to continue moving on there. So if we're going to be talking about all this, we first have to talk about the current incumbent governor of Idaho. More specifically, his long family lineage in the entire state.
Ooh.
So Andrew James Bell Little was born in 1860 in Moffat, Scotland, a town mostly known for its fanciful spring waters and spas and having a fuck ton of really good sheep.
Aww.
Andrew grew up there, and eventually, as legend has it, he would move to the town of Emmett, Idaho in 1884 at the age of 24, with nothing but his clothes, 2 dogs, and $25, which in today's money is about $686. So, not even enough for a security deposit plus first month's rent on a dog-friendly studio apartment. But it was a different time.
Yeah.
However, Andy wouldn't be alone. As luck would have it, a fellow by the name of Scotch Bob Aikman had started a thriving sheep ranch, and along with his business partner, had been giving folks from Scotland work the moment they arrived. So Andy hiked 22 miles to Scotch Bob's farm and got a job on the spot. Now, one of the side bonuses is that ranch hands tended to be able to get room and board on the property along with their usual pay. So Andy really didn't have much need for money, at least based on his plans. You see, instead of being paid in cash, Andy struck a deal with Aikman, and he promised to work instead for a total of 1,200 of his own sheep.
Ooh.
And Aikman agreed, and Andy got right to work. So once he had accumulated enough hours to equal all the sheep he wanted, he left his job and focused entirely on his own flock. And in a final gesture of goodwill, Aikman allowed Andy to keep his sheep with his own flock until Andy could afford to purchase his own land.
Ooh.
And lucky for Andy, his new sheep were good at 2 things: growing really good wool and fucking. These sheep just got right on down and made a ton more sheep that were also very good at wool. And before long, Andy's herd had outgrown what Scotch Bob could allow, and so using his new gains, he purchased 40 acres of his own. By 1900, Andy's herd was producing the most wool in the region, and by 1903, his herd had produced 187,000 pounds of wool, more than 60,000 pounds than the nearest competitor. By 1904, local newspapers would marvel that Andy had purchased 100 tons of hay just to feed his flock for that winter. And his risky move to be paid in just sheep had resulted in Andy being dubbed the Idaho Sheep King.
Yes.
So Andy would marry, he'd have 5 kids, and grow his wealth beyond his wildest dreams. The culmination of said wealth would probably be what was dubbed the Little Mansion, or as the Littles called it, the Forever Home. Now, this would be a mansion that began construction in 1923 on his property and would be made in sort of like a Spanish stucco style. And the home itself would be made of reinforced concrete with walls that were about a foot thick. And inside the walls, instead of insulation, was just rebar, junk metal, equipment on the farm that had broken.
What?
Yeah, which is why they called it the Forever Home, because it's like, there's no way this thing's ever going to fall the fuck down.
Yeah, no, this is Roman quality.
And so the reason that he did that is he had gotten so freaked out by the San Francisco earthquake in 1906, he wanted to build a house that could even withstand that. And initially I wanted to make fun of that because it seems like, oh, an earthquake in Idaho, when the fuck's that going to happen?
And then we started getting tornadoes in Chicago.
Fuck off with your doomsaying truth. But yeah, so the San Francisco earthquake was a 7.9 on the Richter scale. And turns out in 1983, Idaho's largest earthquake happened, and it was a 6.9. The Bora Peak earthquake was the most violent earthquake ever recorded in lower 48 states since 1959 and caused $12.5 million in damages and resulted in the death of 2 children. So yeah, I guess Andy actually knew what he was doing when he did this. Yeah, I had no clue there was actually a weird little fault line in Idaho. So yeah, it made perfect sense for him to do it.
That like sizable fault line that like we're apparently overdue, but that's along the, I think the 5.
Oh yeah, the New Madrid.
Yeah.
Oh wait, in California you mean?
Yeah, from British Columbia through to Oregon.
Yeah, New Madrid's the one in Mississippi, or on the Mississippi River.
Oh yeah.
That'll chestnut. It's gonna fuck us up one day. I'm sure it'll be at a really good time when we're all ready.
Just as an aside, because I always love this tidbit about Idaho, and you mentioned sheep, but apparently Idaho also has like one of the largest populations of Basque outside of the northern Spanish region because of the sheep herding.
I was going to say, weirdly enough, that actually plays a very heavy role in the little family.
Oh, okay. I'll shut up.
No, it's fine. I was hoping you were going to say that because it's kind of amazing. So it's 1929. Andy's flock is about 100,000 sheep deep. He owns 6,000 acres, 27 ranches, and actually spent every single day trying to get to all of them, even in his old age. He had expanded his farms to also having cattle and also began growing alfalfa, oats, and hay, mainly so that he could produce the food for the sheep and not have to pay outside people to feed his flock.
That's just good business sense.
Oh, 100%. And so Andy would end up living until 1941, and he passed away at the age of 81 in Santa Barbara, California. And by all accounts, he seemed like a pretty all right guy. He did hands-on work for as long as he possibly could and made a habit of employing not just Scottish immigrants, but many Basque immigrants as well. And Basque immigrants were coming to Idaho for quite some time, but there was definitely a huge boom when the little farms started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and he needed more people. And so a lot of folks from the Basque country in Spain started coming over and getting jobs through him.
Very cool.
And as I said before, Andy would have 5 kids. The one we're going to be focusing on next is his youngest, David. And there's really not a ton out there about David, but the big details are that he was elected president of the Idaho Cattlemen's Association probably around 1963. He was elected to the Idaho House of Representatives in 1972, and then served in the Idaho State Senate from 74 to 86. And it's via this little dip into the political waters that we get the world premiere of Idaho's current incumbent governor, Brad Little. Bradley J. Little was born in Emmett, Idaho in 1954. He graduated from Emmett High School in 1972 and then the University of Idaho in 1976 with a degree in agribusiness. You know what we say here on Gadfly? Graduate on time and lead a boring life.
Be a well-rounded adult.
Exactly. Just be a perfectly sane individual. And of course, when I say normal life for Brad, this is like a normal life for a kid from a wealth dynasty.
Yes.
It is kind of the first time I think we've had someone from a dynasty who didn't go to a private school in any regard. Like he didn't go to a boarding school. He didn't go to some private university. He stayed in Idaho. And I think a lot of that too is probably just like, I know I'm going to run my family's business one day. Why would I waste the money doing other stuff?
Right. Yeah. They weren't new money reaching for old money status.
Exactly.
Letting their sheep fuck and continuing on the good life.
Look, if my job was literally stand back and let sheep fuck, I too would probably not stress about the more expensive things in life.
Yeah. To learn a little Basque.
Yeah. I do know one word in Basque.
Oh,
muchahinia.
Muchahinia.
Which I am told means dirty dish rag. It's a beautiful language full of X's. It's great.
Yeah. It sounded nothing like anything that's familiar to you.
Nope, it is. If we're talking about the angriest sounding language outside of Russia, I think Basque comes pretty close.
I mean, Russian just always sounds like slightly drunk to me. Like it's a language that you can like easily slur. It's like just kind of.
Yep.
Yeah. Whereas German is like easily angry.
Yeah. So Brad's living his life. He's, running the family farm. And then in 1981, his dad ends up coming down with a really serious case of pneumonia that would last for a couple of weeks. So Brad did what any of us would do. And he went to the state Senate and voted for his dad for a couple of weeks. I don't know how this is legal. I don't know how this works. But apparently his dad was like, I'm sending my kid. It's cool.
I notarized.
I safety penned a note on his dress shirt to tell him what we need for votes.
Yeah.
And I told him to be sure to count the change on the way back.
Yep.
And it's going to be fine.
Okay.
And apparently it was like no big deal. It wasn't even really mentioned in the papers at all. It was just like, yeah, he's doing it. It's probably happened a bunch of times before. And so technically, Brad became a state senator at the age of 27 for a couple of weeks.
Damn it.
And 4 years later, his dad would fall ill again. This time, though, it would be for prostate cancer, which he would fight for about 2 decades.
Oof.
Yeah. But once again, Brad would step in and vote for his dad while his dad was getting treatment. And aside from that, he was pretty much busy running the same farm that his grandpa Andy started in the 19th century. He took the presidency of the Idaho Wool Growers Association and still found time to serve on the board of directors of the Home Federal Bank, which was like a local sort of, not security exchange, like a local credit union sort of a deal.
Oh.
And all that business experience, plus, about a month as a substitute senator, was more than enough for Governor Dirk Kempthorne to appoint Brad to a state Senate seat when it became vacant in 2001.
What?
Yep. Hey, Dynasty, you want to be a state senator? All you gotta do is walk in the door, man.
You've already been doing it. Do it under your own name now.
Dude, man, I saw you sitting in that chair of your dad's and just, feet weren't even touching the ground at the time, but I saw it in your eye. The way you voted not present. I knew you'd be a state senator one day. I don't know why I'm giving Dirk Kempthorne a voice like this. It's like
I think it works.
A slightly high governor named Dirk.
It's all good, man. I'm Dirk.
Hop on my yacht, man. The U.S. Wavy Gravy. It's going to be awesome. Also, I don't like abortions.
And when I say grass, I really mean just grass from the ground.
Dude, I've been smoking oregano since I was 17. I don't know. I think it might be affecting my brain. This has been a highly litigious interpretation of Idaho Governor Dirk Kempthorne. I'm sure he appreciates it.
Sure, he's a lovely man.
I don't know, maybe. I did enough research to make that guarantee.
Great. I love this.
I mean, he gives people with 1 month of experience state senator jobs. Like for state
representative. You know what? You're right. Fuck not? This guy.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Brad was really. I mean, his name's Brad. He's a fucking legacy named Brad.
Yeah, no, this is total nepotism.
Yeah. So this event was so big that I can't find a single newspaper that wrote of the appointment the day of. Like they mention it later, but when it happened, no one gave a fuck. Mainly because it probably wasn't that surprising. Like I said, the dude's a dynasty, and he's president of one of the most powerful groups in the state. And if that didn't say how expected Brad's sudden job was or how much power came along with him, then his relatively easy time in the state Senate does. So Brad would be reelected 4 times, during which time he only faced competition in the Republican primary twice. And during the general election, he never once faced a Democratic challenger.
Wow. Okay.
Hooray. You know what they say, if you miss all the shots you don't take, you get to save time planning for the future.
thinking about a future shot that you're definitely not going to brick.
Hey, you know what people in rural communities really love? A political party that just abandons them when things get hard.
I'm sure that wasn't the case, Dusty.
I'm sure
they
it
were
wasn't
never
either.
there to abandon in the first place.
Touche. Excellent point. But yeah, during that whole time, never once faced a Democratic challenger. And not only that, but in 2003, after winning his first election, he was chosen to be the caucus chairman, the second most powerful position in the Senate majority. And he had been there for 2 years. And he would hold this job the entire time he was in the state Senate.
I just want, what's the yearly salary on that position?
That sounds great. Let me take a look. Idaho State Senator pay. Oh, that's interesting. So the state Senate pays $16,684 per year plus a per diem. So this reminds me a lot of the way I think New Hampshire does it, where they ensure that the job cannot be a full-time job, that you have to have something else, so that you don't become a lifelong politician, quote unquote. But really all it does is just guarantee that rich people take the job because they don't.
Yeah. Maybe this should be your full-time job.
Yeah.
Maybe you should show up and care.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe make it minimum wage. I don't know.
Like something.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. 40 grand sounds about right if you're a state senator.
Sure. And like, it's certainly in Idaho, or at least parts of Idaho, that seems like a good middle class amount.
You know, it probably used to be. In the recent years, it's actually become very expensive to live in Idaho, mainly because a lot of Californians are moving up there.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. It's just like, apparently the Sun Valley is now, like, they joke about how it's like 90210.5. It's like, it's essentially like an additional SoCal zip code.
I'm sure that goes over there very well.
Oh, yeah.
So Brad would spend his 8 years in the state Senate having a traditionally boring time, just the way you should if you're a politician. He avoided flat-out controversy, did nothing to embarrass himself, and pretty much just held a traditional conservative line. He usually led the charge to strike down the more right-wing moves of others in his own party. Probably one of the bigger moments is there was a push to add to the Idaho Constitution to ban homosexual marriage, and a lot of people were really pushing for this. And Brad essentially said, look, the Idaho Constitution already kind of says that, so why would we add this? This is a waste of time. To which all the 5 Democrats in the Idaho State Senate said, yes, what he said. Yes, that. So it didn't make him super popular amongst a lot of the more further right members, but he kind of held the peace in a lot of regards. And then at the end of 2009, when Lieutenant Governor Jim Reich would end up winning the 2008 U.S. Senate race, once again, Brad would be appointed to a higher position without having to run for it.
Oh my God.
So Brad would ascend to lieutenant governor under Butch Otter, a burlesque name if I've ever heard one.
Oof, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Oh man, if you are 150 pounds and you have a really good goatee, yeah, you're a dude who goes by the name Butch Otter, and you dance to the fucking Dresden Dolls every Thursday night at the Lincoln Lodge.
I would pay good money for that.
Oh no, Butch Otter knows what he's doing. That dude's got calves. Yeah.
Not a boy, not yet a bear.
Fuck off with that beautiful sentiment. And so Butch Otter's like, hey, come be my lieutenant governor. And in 2010, Brad would end up getting elected to his first full term at the job. And the election would mark the first time in his entire political career that he had to face a Democrat. And he crushed them 68-27. Yeah, there's not a lot of happy stories for Democrats in this tale.
Yeah, but it's more just like the ease through which this guy just flows through life.
I hate to say it, but it's gonna get worse. Not with him. But it's going to get worse.
But my anger. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, save that.
Great.
Otherwise, it's going to be like you've been watching WrestleMania for 5 hours and you're just like, when's the bus come?
I'm already tapped out at 11.
So as lieutenant governor, a role that for the most part is just like a placeholder, Brad actually ended up doing a lot of stuff in the job. Most notably, he brought Chobani and Cliff Bar to the state to build new factories. Ooh. And he actually did a bunch of diplomatic missions as well. During his tenure, he went to the Basque country and ended up creating the Basque Economic Development Office in Boise.
Oh.
And he also did a bit of a tour through Mexico and Brazil and ended up creating some trade deals between their countries and Idaho that, according to the State Department of Commerce in Idaho, led to an extra $30 million in trade for the state.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
okay.
That is easily the most I think any lieutenant governor has ever done. I'm willing to be proven wrong, but so far with the episodes we've done, that seems to be the case.
All the governors of the other states are looking at their lieutenant governor like the sassy wife on a sitcom, being like, why can't you be like that lieutenant governor? Why can't you be more like Brad?
Oh my God. So, of course, when Butch Otter decided not to run for re-election in 2018, Brad took his chance, and Butch immediately endorsed him. But this race would be different for Brad, because this time, he actually is going to face a well-funded challenger.
Oh, and he's actually, like, actively doing something instead of just gliding into it?
Oh, no. Brad's got to roll up his sleeves and work just like Andy used to. Bring your $10 and your $25. It's going to be a fight.
Oh, my God. He's how old now?
He's like 60.
60 years and finally,
a good age to
learning
start working.
What is. Great. No, this is fine. I'm fine.
So he would end up getting a challenge from the right, from just a real piece of shit by the name of Raul Labrador. So
what is with the last names in the state? Labrador, Bush Otter. This is great.
Well, weirdly enough, Raul Labrador, I believe he's from Carolina, Puerto Rico initially, and then his family moved to Idaho. But Raul is I don't even want to call it's like if you took Ted Cruz and Ron Paul, like all of their worst qualities, and then made a worse person.
Oof.
So some of Raul's greatest hits include, because this man was a congressman for a while, the Criminal Alien Gang Member Removal Act, a bill that would allow ICE to immediately detain anyone they believed to be both undocumented and a member of a gang with nothing but probable cause. So essentially, it was going to be used that if you saw a 16-year-old that you were pretty sure was undocumented, you could just say they're a member of MS-13 and then just put them in prison. It ended up passing the House, but it died in committee in the Senate.
Oh, thank God.
And this was despite a very strong endorsement from Donald Trump, so it was kind of surprising it didn't get pushed further. Raul also brings back this classic. He would like to repeal the 17th Amendment, which is the one that allows us to vote for senators. He believes life begins at conception, always a fun one. He supports Idaho's faith healing exemption, so this is something I didn't know existed. Idaho is one of the very few states in the country that has this law that allows parents to select faith healing to cure their children's ailments and guarantees they will face no civil or criminal prosecution if their child suffers long-term ailments or if they die.
I mean, having read the book Educated, which came out a few years ago, which is about this woman who grew up in one of those like insane fundamentalist communities, that doesn't surprise me that Idaho has that.
And finally, Raul would legalize marijuana, but only for veterans.
This guy's all over the map.
Yeah, he's like, if a libertarian discovered fascism, I think you'd get Raul Labrador. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from him. On top of all of that, Raul went out of his way to endorse Trump for president. So going into the 2018 election, it seemed like a radical fuck like Raul could be catnip to Trump, at least compared to the by-the-book conservative and really boring guy that Brad Little traditionally has been. And after getting the endorsements of Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, Donald Trump would be a crown jewel of the asshole prize to push Raul over the top. But even at that time, Raul was polling in first place by quite a distance, and Brad was in a very sad third place. So what could possibly go wrong? And the simple answer is Brad's people were kind of smarter than Raul's, because once Raul started this push to get Trump to endorse him, Brad's people got together and found every possible bit of audio that they could of Raul shit-talking Trump early on.
Oh, amazing.
Because it turns out before Trump won the nomination, Raul was saying a lot of shit.
Amazing.
So Brad's people edited it all together, immediately sent it to the White House, and Trump definitely heard it because he ended up endorsing no one.
Probably the best outcome for all of Idaho.
Oh, 100%. I remember during this race being so nervous that Raul Labrador was suddenly going to become governor of Idaho, and especially imagining him as a governor during COVID is just harrowing. That is a terrible timeline that other dimensions have to deal with. I feel very lucky. And so it also kind of helped Raul set a bunch of just dumb shit on TV because he's a firebrand. He's going to say some dumb shit that people don't like. And by the end of it all, with Trump not endorsing anyone and Raul being just a general ass, Brad would end up sneaking into first place, winning the GOP primary and effectively the governorship, which leads us to today. Now, I know I've said a lot of like, not good things about Brad, but I painted him as just like bread that makes good decisions. But he's definitely had some really fucked up things that he's done, especially in the past 2 years, especially regarding trans people. So he signed a couple really transphobic bills into law, one banning transgender women from competing in women's sports in high school, and a second banning trans individuals from changing their sex on their birth certificates. And on top of that, this last year he signed a bill allowing for the culling of 90% of the state's wolf population, which at minimum would leave about 150 wolves left in the entire state. What could possibly go wrong?
Holy cow, no.
Yeah, a lot of it is like cattle ranchers and sheep farmers hate fucking wolves.
Yeah.
And it's like, fucking deal with it, man. It's nature. You're raising nature in the wide open. It's gonna happen. Wolves eventually get full. There's only 1,000 in the whole state. Fucking take it. You're gonna be fine.
Calm down.
Yeah. And like 150 wolves, that feels like that's like biome danger levels, it feels like.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, the poor wolves.
But for governors, we all know the big question of this last year was, how did they deal with COVID? Did you do the right thing, even if it meant pissing off a ton of people? Or did you try to do the politically expedient thing and just let a bunch of folks die? Well, Brad picked the former, and it did not go well. So like a bunch of other governors, he enacted a stay-at-home order in March of 2020, and then the next month he tacked on a mask mandate for everyone. This immediately kickstarted some real bugfuck moments for Brad. For one, a bunch of mayors in the northern part of the state just flat out refused to enforce any of his COVID orders. For another, state representative, biologist, and white supremacist Heather Scott went on local radio to call the stay-at-home order, quote, no different than Nazi Germany, where you had government telling people you're an essential worker or a non-essential worker, and the non-essential workers got put on a train. Look, I'm not a World War II historian by any level. I did just buy a book that's like an almanac of the whole damn thing to prepare for when I'm 45.
Yes,
it's going to be great. But I'm pretty sure the Jewish people were not sent to concentration camps because they all worked at Hardee's.
Yeah. Point me to the train, Heather.
Yeah.
I doubt the city even has a bus service.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's
Idiot.
so fucked up. It was so disheartening, too, to read, oh, biologist, oh, state representative, modern day Nazi, wonderful.
Oh.
Making light of the Holocaust and also a really bad analogy.
Christ.
But the real crazy shit would happen on May 27th of 2021. That's right, a month and a half ago.
Oh, no.
You see, that day Brad was scheduled to fly on down to Nashville to attend the yearly Republican Governors Association conference. A real wild fucking time, so I've heard. Or, as I've heard they call it, GOP GovAskCon. The thing, though, is Idaho has a law that states when the governor is out of the state, then the lieutenant governor becomes the acting governor immediately.
Yeah, you can't get your son to just vote for shit, nope. Brad.
Nope, you can't have your kid come in. It's got to be, there's a chain of order. This isn't state senate, Brad. Come on, man. We're paying you a living wage to do this job. But yeah, Butch Otter had to leave the state for multiple reasons, and it ended up resulting in Brad being the acting governor of Idaho for a little over a year in total.
Well, touring is hard, and when your cabaret takes off.
Exactly, yeah. Look, I got to go down to Brazil, make sure everything's fine there. I also have
It's Carnival. What, are they not going to have?
I make $14,000 a year as governor. I need to survive, Bradley.
These calves are insured. They bring in dollars.
Amanda Palmer is suing me for royalties for using her songs. I need the... The joke for like 10 people, I think.
Yeah, 10 people, and none of them listen to us, Dusty. There is no Venn diagram overlap.
Wonderful. I'm glad we both like that joke, at least. I'll hold it in my heart. But yeah, so that's the law. You're out of state, or if you're like can't come into work, you're sick. Lieutenant governor immediately becomes acting governor. So the second Brad got across the state line, his lieutenant governor, Janice McGeehan, stepped up, became governor, and immediately issued an executive order banning all mask mandates in all government buildings and public schools. Something Brad did not want.
Yeah, bitch, who signed you on?
And so luckily the convention was only a day, which
oh my
is
God,
real sad. That's such a sad sentence. But it was either a day or Brad's like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Substitute governor went and did a fuck up. So he flew back to Boise, immediately rescinded the executive order, and from that day forward has essentially been at war with his lieutenant governor.
No, this is so awkward.
But Una, is Brad really in that much trouble? And to decide that, I've broken up all of his challengers into 3 categories. I really lucked out that there are 3 categories that I could put them all into. So in each one answers the question of why is this person trying to unseat Brad in the GOP primary? Also, I'm sure in the future we're going to get new candidates before the filing deadline. I'm sure folks are going to drop out or not get all their signatures. These are the people who are running right now. I think all the major ones are in, with the exception of like Raul Labrador might do it, but he's been the head of the GOP in Idaho for like the past year, so I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah, that probably gives him enough power.
Yeah. So I'm sure changes are going to happen in the future, but as of right now, I'm feeling pretty comfy with the folks that we have in this list. So category 1, why are they running against Brad? I don't know. No idea. So every election for major office, you're going to get at least one person who was able to get all the signatures, paid their filing fee, but for some reason didn't think it was worth getting a website, Facebook page, and or Twitter account for their campaign.
Oh.
So we'll get through all these dudes really quick. First, there's Chris Hammond. He's a ghost. He has no Facebook, no Twitter, no anything, and it's really hard to find one specific person in Idaho with the name Chris Hammond.
Okay, all right, that makes a lot more sense, because otherwise I was just like, he doesn't even have like his own personal Facebook page?
Nope, not that I'm sure he might, but it's not linked to anything.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we're done with Chris. Next is Jeff Cotton. So Jeff is an attorney based in Boise, and he primarily focuses on divorce and child custody. He's a graduate of the University of Idaho School of Law, and aside from that, that's it. That's all we got about Jeff. He's a youngish guy. His website could use some work. That's about it. I'm sure he's busy. If you're a divorce lawyer, I'm sure you're dealing with a lot post-COVID, so I think he gets a pass. And then there's my favorite of the 3, a dude by the name of Cody Usbell. So we were talking a bit earlier about how a lot of Idahoans or Idahans are really pissed off at all these California folks coming up there. there and moving. Well, Cody and his wife have created an entire clothing company based on this called 208 Original. Apparently 208 was the one area code across all of Idaho for quite some time. And like their design work's actually really good. It's the sort of thing that I feel like if I went to the University of Idaho and I saw a shirt that just said 208 Original and had the outline of the state, I'd probably buy it. Yeah, and it's like none of it's like really angry or hateful. It's just like, hey, I'm from Idaho, and this is my shirt that shows that I'm proud that I am from Idaho.
Oh yeah, this is totally cute.
Yeah, it's really nice work. And so I wasn't able to find any sort of campaign website. His Facebook page did have him talking about the Second Amendment, but I forgot to go back and listen to what he said. And it's mostly because I got distracted by the other love of his life, a sky blue Harley Davidson that he has tweaked out. That's not the phrase. He's like fitted in very specific ways. It is gorgeous. It is a gorgeous fucking bike. He's named it Delilah. It's
oh my god.
He seems like the sort of dude who in high school I would have gladly enjoyed like a case of Coors with. He just seems like a neat dude. Now, that's not to say that eventually he's going to come out with some very problematic ads or maybe statements of things, but based on what I've seen, Cody Usbell seems like a pretty all right dude.
Keep that mouth closed, Cody. Don't disappoint us.
I mean, if I was an Idaho Republican, I still probably wouldn't vote for him because I need some policy, man. I need to know what you stand for other than really bitching bikes and good clothes.
And 208 Original, right?
Yeah, clearly loving your wife. It's like, these are reasons I used to love John Mulaney. I need burn. So that's all of group one. So we're moving on to group two. And these are folks who are running with very strong Trump or Trump adjacent talking points. So the first person we're going to be talking about in this category is a woman by the name of Lisa Marie. Now, I'd like to start out with her because I think this is the first time we're actually kind of getting faced with our one rule of, do we talk about people who may or may not have a mental illness of some sort? I'm not going to diagnose Lisa Marie. There are things that make me kind of wonder off and on. There's nothing to me that's 100% clear that that's what the deal is. I think just saying off the top, I think she has just become very firm in her beliefs of certain things. And it kind of, since I don't share those beliefs, it might skew the way I look at her, but we're definitely not going to joke about any sort of strange like quirks or anything like that. We're going to stick strictly to things that she has done and things that she has said.
Excellent.
So I'm sure that's a great preamble for a candidate. So Lisa Marie, don't know where she was born. She has at least 5 or 6 aliases. One of the more common is Lisa Marie Gould, which seems to be her full name, but she just goes by Lisa Marie now. One of the things we do know is that she studied at Boise State University at some point, but her known history doesn't really start until the year 2000. And it's at this time she was making a living selling a product called Sun Rooibos. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's essentially a beverage made via the rooibos plant, which is most commonly used in red tea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, supposedly it's really good tea. I've actually never had it.
It is, and non-caffeinated naturally.
Oh, nice.
It's a lovely tea.
Wait, no, bullshit. If I'm drinking tea, I want to get fucked up and energetic.
Sometimes you want something other than water before going to bed. And
no, you're right. I am
and you hate chamomile.
I'm clearly not who tea was meant for in any regard. It's like, don't you have coffee? Yeah, but I want to taste something else. So she started a company doing that. In 2003, this is where things would really start to take off with her business. She founded Red Rocks, which was essentially a crystalline version of Sun Rooibos, so like a tea tang, if you will.
Trademarked.
And what she started advertising it as was an organic substitute for Gatorade. Quote, Red Rocks fights dehydration, which can hurt athletic performance and cause a buildup of toxins in the body.
Whoop. Oh, okay.
There's our first red flag. The toxins.
Oh.
So she would essentially get to work on that. And by the year 2006, she claimed that she had been working with Dr. Mark McCosey of the Thomas Jefferson University Hospital in Philadelphia to test her theories. And he had been able to get one hell of a group of test subjects, in that he got the Boise State Broncos football team, the Boston Red Sox, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the San Diego Chargers. And wouldn't you know it, the year the Boise State team drank Red Rocks, they went undefeated, and the Red Sox made the World Series the next year.
Oh, there's red flag number 2.
Well, the other big problem is that all of these organizations have very strong ties to Gatorade, and whether another product works or not, they're not going to trade out Gatorade money.
Yeah. It's like the only substitute for Gatorade is pickle juice. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's disgusting.
Red Rocks is not going to have electrolytes.
It's really weird because, I mean, I'm sure you've been out jogging. You're like, I could use a huge fucking cup of tea. And it's like it naturally dehydrates you in general. And there are times I had to dig deep to find the Red Rocks website. It's a little spoiler on how well this goes. But when I found it, there was like contradictory statements on the website saying this isn't a tea. This comes from a different part of the plant and we do different things with it. And then further on down is like, it's an energy tea. And it's just, It's just like, isn't it tea just like plant you boil? And by definition, that's tea.
Yep.
God damn it. It's so frustrating. Anyway, so this dude gets all these sports teams to do it. And from what I could tell, he actually did. He actually got these folks to drink this stuff behind the scenes. Okay. And some NFL players actually ended up endorsing the product. But like I said, the big problem though is, Gatorade has a monopoly on the sports drink world. Mm-hmm. So even if people loved it, no one's going to switch over to it. So she would have to find other outlets if she was going to make Red Rocks the official drink of some sport. What she ended up finding was a group called the United National Gridiron League. One of the fun things about American football is that the NFL really controls the fall. And every once in a while, you get a bunch of people who are just like, let's make a league in the spring. What's the worst that could happen? And the answer is bankruptcy. A lot of bankruptcy. It is not easy to field a team of about 53 people all getting paid and then renting out stadiums and then hiring coaches and then trainers and then equipment. It's not a cheap thing. The only league that's been able to make it work recently has been the spring league is what they call it. And the way they get around that is they don't pay players. Players have to pay to take part. And so that's how they can afford everything else.
Yeah, absolutely not.
But I mean, the thing is, there have been a lot of players that have gone from the spring league and actually gotten signed by NFL teams. So it's kind of viewed as an investment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's still a scam, but it's a scam that somehow works for some people. So
yeah, now it just sounds like all the screenplay competitions I enter.
Oh, yep. Yeah.
My problem is it sounds too familiar. Okay.
So she gets this deal with the United National Gridiron League. And the league was planned as like a minor league thing for the NFL. They could sign players, but they ended up pushing back their inaugural season 3 straight years in a row. It turns out the CEO was pulling a lot of weird shit behind the scenes. Like at one point, they would announce different cities each year of where the teams were going to take place. And they announced one stadium where teams were going to play. And the press contacted the stadium. They're like, yeah, we haven't talked to this guy in like 3 years. I don't know what he's on about.
Oh, no.
The league attempted, I believe last year was their last attempt. And the dude, Marvin Tomlin, who founded it, when the players showed up to play, they found out they weren't getting free room and board. They had to pay for their own hotels. So a player walked up to him and punched him in the face.
Yes, good. Someone had to.
And so ended a very clear grift.
Wow.
And so now the thing about all this is that the info for all of this was posted on a website called alternativehealthsaltlake.wordpress.com.
You shut your mouth. It was not called that.
Alternativehealthsaltlake.wordpress.com was the website I did go to. Because it turns out that if you're looking for information about Lisa Marie, you can't exactly go on CNN.
Oh, no.
So, grab the biggest thing of salt you could find and we can run with this. So she claims she worked with all these teams that had all this great success, but I can't find anything to prove that it didn't other than my own self-doubt. I was really tempted to write the PR department of all these teams, but since all of them do have contracts with Gatorade, if they even admitted to this, they'd be risking lawsuits. And so it's just not worth it. So let's just say for the sake of argument, all of this is true to a T. So
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So after looking over the archived Red Rocks website, it appears as though Lisa was selling 12 packs of pre-made drink for about $29 a pack and various packaging sizes of crystal packs for about 97 cents a packet. So long as you bought in bulk of 200 or 400. And much to my frustration, the website did not contain any list of ingredients. So that's a worry I had. However, they did make allusions that the drink is amazing for hydration and might even be able to save you from obesity, diabetes, and cancer.
Of course. Naturally. Go big or go home. You bought some, right? Please tell me you bought some.
No, I can't find anywhere to buy it. The website's been dead since I think 2008. And
look up eBay.
Oh my God. If you could find it on eBay, I would beg you not to drink it. There was one review I read of it where it essentially was like, yeah, it's just a bit bland. And that was it. So by 2009, finding anything online about Red Rocks is a fucking struggle. So primary sources aren't exactly what I would call very high caliber. We're not talking, alternative Salt Lake WordPress. For instance, some updates I found on how the company was going comes from a website called Nutraceuticals World and from an interview that Lisa did with that website. So according to Lisa, Red Rocks had 4 very strong years, picked up a lot of endorsements, and formed a partnership with the PASS Foundation, which was an organization she created herself to fight obesity, diabetes, and cancer. I wonder why the drink cures those.
Oh, it was an Ouroboros of grift.
And turns out they'd been sold out of all their pre-made drinks, but they had the goal of making more of them by August 2009. And to all of this claimed success, she chose to shut the whole company down. By December of 2009, the website was down, and according to her interview, she stated that she had to just, quote, take a step away. And by that, she chose to become willingly houseless. So, like I said, I'm going to do my best to take her at her word on this, that she wasn't, like, say, being chased down by creditors or had dipped so much money into this that she couldn't afford her mortgage or property taxes.
Or was one of the many victims of the 2008 housing crisis.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, if we're taking her at her word, she claimed to be doing this because, quote, she wanted to walk in the footsteps of children, parents, and elders suffering from houselessness. And the thing is, there's already a lot of research on that, so I don't really know why it's something you would have to deal with yourself, but I at least kind of of understand what she's talking about. But if we're going to be taking that as truth, I think we also need to take a very weird comment I saw on YouTube as truth. So there is a video of Lisa trying to sell Red Rocks at what looks like a Whole Foods in, I want to say 2013. So the product still exists. I think she just has all of it. And she's kind of frantic. She's chewing on actual pieces of rooibos bush. She's talking about all these different ways that you can make it, where it's like you add syrup and agave and then the tea, and I think she refers to it as God's water or something like that. But she's clearly out there trying to sell it. And the caption underneath said, "I fell for this scam back in 2009. I gave her money to invest in this company. And then around the time that she went willingly houseless, all the product disappeared, all the investor money went missing, and she was just a ghost." So I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying a random person on YouTube with around 35 views said this.
Listen,
there are no good primary sources for Lisa Marie.
This is amazing. I will say I am going to take that YouTube person at their word, and I'm going to point out that it could have been so much worse for that anonymous person, because they could have been pouring money into like Herbalife.
Oh,
and this
God.
was just like,
at least Herbalife gives you hope.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, Dusty. It doesn't. It just continues. It's just like a vampire just continues sucking your blood. Whereas this time it's just like, so you're out some money. Okay. You move on with your life.
I got grifted, gonna learn from it.
Yeah.
So for the next 3 years, from 2010 to 2013, she is being willingly houseless. But I also should note that Red Rocks was verified as an official company by the Idaho Secretary of State as late as 2016. And that whole time, Lisa Marie was filing each year to re-up that information. So who knows what the fucking truth is? In 2014, she would choose to come out of houselessness to run for Congress. She ran in the Republican primary, where she finished 2nd out of 5 with 7% of the vote.
Hey, Lisa Marie. Knows. Okay.
She would run again in 2016, where she would finish 2nd out of 2, but this time got 27% of the vote.
Moving on up.
And then things get weird. So I don't know how familiar you are with the wellness to QAnon pipeline.
I mean, I know wellness industry pretty well. I can probably guess at it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of connections, say, between the anti-vax movement and QAnon, especially those sorts of theories that vaccines are purposely harming people and making you magnetic and all that fun stuff. But the thing that Lisa Marie seems to really have hooked onto is the Save Our Children movement.
Oh, no.
So the general gist behind that is there is a cabal of high-ranking pedophiles that are kidnapping children, scaring the fuck out of them, and then draining them of their blood, because the fear in children's blood creates something called adrenochrome. And then when you consume adrenochrome, you stay young longer.
Yes, this is familiar from a past episode.
Yeah.
We talked about adrenochrome.
Yeah, and so Lisa Marie has stated on multiple occasions that 1,000 children go missing a day, and that she thoroughly believes that the reason for that is clearly this deep state Illuminati child cabal. After announcing that, she ran for governor of Idaho. And she would finish 4th out of 7 with 1.7% of the vote. But for her, that wasn't enough. So she ended up running as a write-in candidate in the general election and got 51 votes.
51 total. Got it.
51 total votes. Yeah, no, she didn't get 50. She's not the governor of Idaho. She isn't like the deep state Brad Little. And then in 2019, she'd get arrested on charges of petty theft, which I didn't know was spelled P-E-T-I-T. I didn't know it was French.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the petty theft is petit theft.
Okay, but it's not, I always see it as P-E-T-T-Y.
I think we Americanized it, but Idaho's weird.
Wow. Okay, yeah. Idaho.
It's called freedom theft. Thank you.
Yeah.
Apparently she stole something from a store. This was probably during her houseless days, so it's like, I get it. You gotta live. But yeah, she mainly got arrested, not so much for the theft, but for refusing to show up to court.
Oh, sure. That'll get you.
And so after that, she decided, you know what I need to do? I need to run for county sheriff. And so she ran for county sheriff as a Republican, finished 2nd out of 2 with 10% of the vote, Una.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she had the petty theft vote.
And so here's the funny thing. So she is running for governor. But the thing is, if you looked at her YouTube page and her Facebook, it doesn't seem like she remembers. Because the only things you really see prominently displayed on her YouTube and Facebook page is her 2024 campaign for president.
For president?
For president. And it's not so much that she's even talking about policy. I mean, there are videos of her yelling at town council meetings about children going missing and things of that sort, or people who are suing her unjustifiably. For the most part, her videos are her doing dance routines to classic rock, and it's all filmed at a Dutch angle, and she's always wearing like kind of a short dress in them, so I couldn't exactly watch her videos on my work computer.
No, you couldn't.
But nearly every single one of her videos either includes the words Red Rocks, Pass for Kids, which was her foundation, any of the NFL teams she claims to have worked with in the past, or Henry Cavill, because justifiably, she is obsessed with that hunk of a man.
Okay, so we have something in common.
Yeah,
Me and Lisa Marie. All right.
Look, The Witcher's hot as fuck. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So, and yeah, in every single one of those videos, the one thing that is in common is the phrase Lisa Marie, President 2024. There's no website of her running for governor. And aside from that, she seems like she's training emotional support kittens, but the videos I've seen of her doing that, I don't think she's qualified. There's like a video of her sitting next to a kiddie pool and dunking kittens in, like, not like drowning them, but putting them in the water and holding them there so they can get used to water. And I don't think that's how you do it, but I'm not an animal trainer. I don't know.
No, I know.
And she does make the occasional post hinting that Red Rocks, her son Roybos, is going to come back. But it really seems like the background to her dance and acting aspirations. There is an acting reel that she has that clearly she didn't memorize a script. She's just improvising a scene. She doesn't even slate her name, Una. She needs some help. She needs help if her acting's going to
She needs a friend.
And
yes.
That friend is Henry Cavill.
Behind that.
So that's Lisa Marie. So the fun thing is I'm doing this in order of groups, but I'm also kind of doing it in order of where I think they're going to finish. So I think she's at least finishing 5th.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I would bet money on that.
Which brings us to our next person in our category of people running on vague Trumpisms. Dude by the name of Ed Humphreys. So Ed was born in Arizona. His father was a tile setter, and his mother was an immigrant from Yugoslavia. And she worked a handful of jobs, including hotel maid, server, and a painter of Native American art, which not something I think a lot of Slavic folks do. Seems a little weird, but that's
those things where it's like, I don't know, they're like immediately European. So
yeah,
I'm just going to turn a blind eye to this cultural appropriation.
Yeah, it's like you're an immigrant here. Your ancestors didn't take part in all the terrible shit that happened here. I guess we can let this happen.
Just got here. Yeah.
Fuck it, sure.
Fine.
But
I can't give you that pass, but
yeah, but then it gets worse because you see, Ed's mom was very adamant that communism should never happen in America. Because frankly, Russia did kind of run all of Eastern Europe for a while and didn't do what would be called a bang-up job.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, I think you come out of the southern half of the Iron Curtain in particular, and you've got some trauma that's going to last a couple generations.
Oh, yeah. So Ed's mom would spend much of his childhood telling him stories about what the commies did in Yugoslavia, and it took very strongly. But then there's this story from Ed's father's side of the family, and I want you to raise a hand when you get to the unsettling part.
I love this game. Okay.
Quote, on my father's side, my grandmother came to America from National Socialist Nazi Germany. My grandmother has tearfully recounted and taught us all how her country, along with Europe, was destroyed by socialists and communists. So a fun hint for folks who are trying to still figure this out. Uno, who were the two people that Hitler actively killed and fought against?
Yeah.
Socialists and communists.
Yeah, they really...
I hate to break it to you, Ed. I think your Gam was a Nazi. Like, you don't get out of Nazi Germany being like, yeah, it was the communists who fucked everything up.
Damn commies.
It's not fascists. It was clearly the socialists who were initially taken off the street before everyone else. And this is another story that guides Ed in his life.
Oh, no.
So by 2008, Ed was having a rough go of things. He was working paycheck to paycheck and struggling to keep up, all while living in his travel trailer, which is essentially like, a mobile home. It's kind of a step down from that. It's the trailer that attaches to the back of a truck, and then you just kind of drive it around.
Yeah.
But all of that would turn around when he would move to Colorado and work in the oil fields, a job that is incredibly hard, but can pay well enough to at least start a savings. On average, it's about $51,000 a year. And in 2013, he'd saved up enough money, moved to Idaho Springs, met his wife, and restarted the life that he wanted. He got a degree in business management in 13 months and used that to build a network of companies that hired him on as a financial advisor. By 2018, he was invited to begin working with the local Republican Party. Apparently, he has a lot of charisma. He's a young dude, and that's, you always need young dudes if you want to keep the party going.
Yeah.
Democrats.
Deep bench it.
Exactly. And after 2 years, he was elected to be a delegate for Trump at the 2020 Republican National Convention. And his reason for running is to stop the rise of socialism in not just America, Una, but in Idaho.
Idaho's part of America.
But it's also super socialist, Una. Have you seen how badly the Democrats got beat by Brad Little, the clear socialist Brad Little?
Oh, no. Is this where we're turning into crazy town?
We're on the road. There's like a few more exits. So Ed's general idea is that socialism is a problem in Idaho due to something called economic planning. Now, this is something that really existed and was actually invented by the USSR, where the idea behind it is spending for money and projects shouldn't be done at the local level. It should be done at the federal level by specific experts and trusted members of the party. This is how shit ends up not working very well in communist Russia.
Yep.
And you see, Ed believes that's happening in in Idaho right now, even though it clearly fucking isn't. That's
not at all.
No.
At all. Like if anything, most of northern Idaho is just being ruled again by fundamentalist Christians and the rest are just sheep farmers.
Yeah, like if this was working the way that Ed thinks it does, then that would mean that Idaho gets to make no decisions on any way that they spend their money and that only people in Washington, D.C. are deciding that. The state government definitely has a budget and they definitely decide how they spend their money. They do have grants from the government that do require how that money is spent, but everything else that they bring in through taxes, they decide where it fucking goes. That's not economic planning, Ed.
Yeah, that's not the Department of Interior suddenly going to the Idaho governor and saying, like, you're no longer known for potatoes.
Yes.
You're growing cotton now.
Yes.
Don't ask questions, just grow the cotton.
But we have wool. We don't need it.
Grow it!
All right, fine.
A poly blend!
Look, if there's anything we've learned from Pol Pot, economic planning is an okay idea. Yeah. So clearly this isn't fucking happening, but Ed thoroughly believes that it is. But we do get one great thing with Ed. He's our first candidate who actually has a campaign website.
Oh, shit.
A motherfucker has ideas. So first, Ed wants to abolish Idaho income tax and reform where the remaining budget money goes. So his plan is to slowly phase out the use of income tax over a period of time, which is file not found. He would then supplant this loss of state revenue by, quote, utilizing state budget surpluses and cash and investments. And as of last month, Idaho did actually hit a record-setting surplus of $800 million. Oh,
shit.
Which, it almost kind of sounds like that's a really big plus in Brad Little's column, but who am I? So let's let Ed kill the state income tax. Besides, income tax only counts for, I don't know, let me do the math here, 40.6% of all tax income for the entire state. It would end up cutting $1.7 billion from the annual budget. But if the state surplus was used wisely, that could theoretically last the state up to about 5.5 months before it ran out.
Oh my God. Also, I don't trust Ed as far as I can throw him for having like any idea of how to balance a budget, his own, let alone the entire state's.
Una, he's a financial advisor for business.
He does a business. Great.
And these businesses were all, hey, Ed, you should run for governor.
That's how you know they're not your friends.
But look, who knows? This could work out. Maybe if no other major budget income bans were put into place, this will be fine, ominous tone. So part 2 of his plan is to cut budget spending. He would begin that by banning funds that would go to universities or nonprofit organizations that promote critical race theory, which he calls, quote, illegal and racist ideology fueling the socialist takeover of our country. Oh. This got put into campaigns very quickly, Una. I don't know what to say. It's very haunting already. And part 3, Ed would make a law that would require any tax increase in the state have to be voted on in a general election, essentially banning taxes.
Yeah, but okay.
So second, Ed wants to promote school choice for families. He plans to, quote, support traditional institutional school districts with a robust network of charter, private, and co-op schools, which, as we all know, public school districts feel very supported when other competing schools come into the neighborhood and their tax money suddenly has to go to charter schools.
Yeah, which are run like a business, aka for profit.
Very well, yes. They are run very well.
No!
And if a family chooses to homeschool their kid, Una, then that family should get the tax dollars that would have gone to their local public school district.
Come on.
But that's not all. Once again, Ed will refuse grants, tax money, or donations that come from institutions that support critical race theory. And beyond that, he would, quote, ask each member of the Idaho State Board of Education to sign a pledge affirming the findings and recommendation of President Trump's 1776 Commission. And if they do not, they will be asked to resign. So, Una, have you read the 1776 Commission?
No, because generally there's enough shit going on in the world, and I don't seek out terrible things in the same manner that you do.
Oh, I didn't read it. I was gonna, and then I read some summaries, and it's like, yeah, I'm not an apt historian. These people really nailed it in a lot of regards. Where there were people who were just like, one quote was attributed so poorly he didn't stop laughing for 2 hours.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, they're just like, this is 41 pages of just fucking lies. There's not a single citation or footnote in the entire report, which, if you've been to college of any sort, doesn't work well.
If you've been to a Wikipedia page, it doesn't work well.
Yeah, I think you got docked a whole grade in my school if you didn't add your footnotes at the end of a high school report. You kind of got to do it.
I was so paranoid about plagiarism and being like expelled for plagiarism that literally every sentence of any essay I handed in had some kind of footnote thing to it. It was insane. And it was just like, I could never get above a B because it was just like, I had an argument. I was just like, I was so caught up in my own anxiety.
Yeah, no, I get get that. I totally get that. And it's funny that you bring up plagiarism because since it's mostly a lot of history professors reading this document, they put it into their little plagiarism finder machine. I forget what it's even called. And they very quickly found out that 2 of the members had essentially copy-pasted essays that they had previously written and put them into the commission report.
I don't know why this is like what is breaking my heart for the future. Maybe because everything else is just too overwhelming.
I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen a candidate full out say, no, the 1776 report is what we should be teaching and everything in here, when it's really just like, it's essentially saying things like white people got rid of slavery eventually and the founding fathers didn't want to enslave people. They just financially had to and they felt bad about it. And just like, why should we keep covering this? It makes America feel bad and we need to feel gooder. It's the only way to feel best.
That sounds like the right summary. Thank you, Dusty.
No worries. Well, I mean, it's what you would expect from a panel of 18 people where none of them are historians.
Yes, or barely literate from the sound of it.
It's not great. And then there's this real unique of an idea, and I think it's probably one of the best worst ideas I've ever heard. Ed wants to award low interest loans to teachers so that they can buy buildings and start their own schools. It's, as soon as I read that, all I could think of was just like a room full of teachers suddenly creating the phrase that everyone will soon hate to hear. Hey, you want to start a school? Like, you need more than a building, Edward, to start a fucking school. You got to buy pencils at least.
Yeah, and I was afraid that he was just like, they can take out this loan so that they can buy the necessary school equipment that we won't provide them.
Yep.
But no, instead it's just a building. Like this is some kind of like VC startup capital. It's
100%.
Like, that's not it.
Hey, you know that Pizza Hut on Route 60 that shut down? Let's turn that into a school. We'll buy like 6 whiteboards. Everyone will smell like terrible salads. It'll be great.
Yeah, then you hear reports of how it's like, 90% of schools don't last the first year, like the same as like restaurants. It's just a new restaurant.
Look, I've been reading over your application for the University of Idaho. It says here on your grade transcript that you got 50 book it buttons. Is that good? Is that an A? What is this? Says you went to 15 schools, each of them shutting down in succession.
Oh, I see you graduated from Fart Noise Academy.
Well, and this is sadly going to be a theme where there's just so little respect for minors and adolescents in the state of Idaho. And it's just like there's so much stress put on parents' rights that there are no rights remaining for children and adolescents. It is disheartening that people are so willing to fuck up their child's education just to feel right.
Again, I can't stress enough. Listeners at home, check out the book Educated, which takes place in Idaho and is exactly about this.
And third, Ed wants to affirm, quote, government for the people. And if we're basing this on size, this is the plank that is clearly the most dear to him. And that's probably because to Ed, this section is all about stopping that Idaho socialism trademark. Step 1 for this is to refuse all federal grant money the state receives. And as of 2016, that totaled about $2.5 billion, which accounts for around 33% of the state budget. So Ed has cut $1.7 billion in income tax, another $2.5 billion in federal grants, totaling a loss of $4.2 billion, which if the state surplus was used wisely, would put the state in financial danger in, all right, let me do some more really sad math, 10 weeks.
10 weeks. Ed, the state cannot run on sheep alone.
And also, Ed supports term limits. So, all right, one thing. Congratulations.
Oh, my God.
As a bit of petty nonsense, though, Ed does do my favorite thing, and that is misattribute a quote to Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, amazing.
So there's a quote on his Government for the People page that says, most bad government comes out of too much government, Thomas Jefferson. And lucky for us, the historians at Monticello have pretty much made a living off of verifying Facebook quotes attributed to Thomas. And shock of shocks, Jefferson has never said this. This particular quote can be traced back to 1913 from a speech about Jefferson told by Senator John Sharp Williams of Mississippi. So Williams was also an extreme fucking racist. I know I repeat myself, a Democrat from Mississippi in the 1910s. Yes, he's going to be very racist.
So racist.
And I'm going to paraphrase his most famous quote. And it is some of the most pure grade racism I've ever heard. So if you would really like to skip some just awful, awful racism, skip ahead about 30 seconds to a minute, starting now. The quote goes, you could shipwreck 10,000 illiterate white Americans on a desert island, and in 3 weeks, they would have a fairly good government, conceived and administered upon fairly democratic lines. You could shipwreck 10,000 black people, not the word he used, every one of whom was a graduate of Harvard University, and in less than 3 years, they would have retrograded governmentally. Half of the men would have been killed, and the other half would have 2 wives apiece. So, a good guy to quote.
Wow.
And so the funny thing I found about this is this was said about the same time that Harvard had its first black graduate. He was a dude by the name of Richard Theodore Greener. Just some of his life accomplishments, because there are too many. He was the associate editor at the New National Era newspaper under Frederick Douglass. He served as the first professor of color at the University of South Carolina as a professor of philosophy. He ended up becoming the dean of the Howard University Law School. He led and secured the funding for Grant's tomb. He served as the U.S. diplomat to India for a time and acted as the American representative for Russia during the Russo-Japanese War. The dude did a lot. He would have been fine on an island.
Yeah, I will maintain you take a group of 100 or so men and put them on an island anywhere and you'll just get a battle royale.
Yeah, like all you have to do is look up the wreck of the Medusa. It's like, it was an old French ship crashed on the coast of Mauritius. Not even an island. It crash landed on a coast and people resorted to cannibalism very fucking quickly.
Yeah, it won't take much before a pig's head is on a stick.
Someone's just screaming sucks to your Asmar and then you're having a very bad day. So fuck John Sharp Williams, and I'm so tempted to just at Ed and just be like, hey dude, your quote's wrong and you should feel bad. And because I'm feeling extra petty, on his education page, he has a quote from Reagan, which actually is for Reagan, but he misspells the word must. And
are you serious?
Instead, he spelled missed.
No, okay, well
it's a very key must.
It's
your campaign page. You should be doubling back and proofreading this shit. It's a quote by your hero, man. You gotta get it right. And look, if you can't be bothered to proofread, then you shouldn't be governor. I'm done with you, Ed. We're moving on.
Great.
Which brings us to our final category: pure, unbridled COVID fury.
Oh my God.
So, and who better to start with for this than a person with some really unsettling history? So, Ammon Bundy was born in Bunkerville, Nevada in 1975. If that name sounds familiar, that's because his dad is Cliven Bundy.
No, I'm just going to yell. Okay, I'll calm down. I thought he was from Oregon.
No, he moved to Oregon for a little bit, but he's originally from Nevada, moved to Oregon, and then moved to Idaho.
This guy. Okay, go on.
No, he goes where the winds of protest take him.
Go.
So I'm going to do a really quick summary on the two things that he was most known for. So the first one, in 2014, he was at a protest at his dad's farm. His dad, Cliven, was a cattle farmer, and he pretty much lived in obscurity until 2014. And so the thing that ended up getting him national prominence is the Bureau of Land Management here in America has a lot of federally protected land in the West, but they also recognize that if you're raising cows, they kind of move around a lot. Yeah. And it's a part of raising cattle. You have to move them from one place to another to make sure that they have stuff to eat and the grass can grow back, and then you go back to where you initially were. And so the Bureau of Land Management strikes a deal where you are allowed to have your cattle graze on public lands, but you have to pay $1.35 for each cow that you own. So it's super fucking reasonable. Everyone kind of wins out. You protect the land. The farmers still get to keep using it for their purposes. It's a win-win all around. Not to Cliven. You see, in 1993, Cliven decided that he didn't want to pay the government anymore. And he kind of got a bit into sovereign citizenship and was told that the Constitution says that the government is not allowed to own large tracts of land.
Guess what? They do. So shut
America. But yeah, for some reason, this is something that sovereign citizens stick to, despite the fact that multiple courts have found the constitutionality of federally protected land. So from 1993 to 2014, Cliven just never paid his fees and constantly had his cows eating off the land. And the BLM, not to be confused with Black Lives Matter.
Right. Just to be clear.
Essentially, their whole thing was like, look, we know Cliven's a little nuts. Let's just ask him nicely for 21 years to see if he'll eventually pay.
This is where it's like, it's the same thing as you were saying at the top of this episode of like recognizing the problem and like facing it head on. And I just was like, no, he broke the law. He pays the money and goes to jail. Like, if nothing else, that's it. That I don't know. Just for once, like bring in a white guy and tell him that he has to play by the same rules as everyone else.
100%. And the thing that makes this so much more frustrating is in 21 years, he had only racked up $1 million in fees.
He could have just paid $1.50 a head of cattle.
Each year, he estimated would have been $47,000 a year, which if you do the math, it means the dude had about 35,000 cows. And if you have that many cows, you can afford to pay a little bit to graze on the fucking land, you fucking creepy cheapskate.
It's just cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so the Bureau of Land Management finally had enough after 21 years. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me for 21 years. I'm legally allowed to drink. And so they're like, you're not going to pay this? We're going to take $1 million worth of cows from you, which we have decided are all of them. We're taking your cows. So they show up with some trailers. They cordon off the land because cows are kind of going wherever the fuck they want. You kind of have to put up some fences to make sure you can get them. But kind of both the good and bad choice they made is they brought in the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to back them up. And the ATF kind of has a history of dealing really badly with right-leaning sovereign citizen folks. Pretty much to the point, as we've discussed in previous episodes, they kind of get a little antsy and murder people. And so when the ATF shows up, it doesn't matter if it's for a decent reason. People are going to get freaked the fuck out. And that's exactly what happens. So the one major thing that Cliven did during this time is the Bureau of Land Management shows up. They're loading cows onto their trailer. Ammon comes riding up on an ATV, parks it right behind the trailer so it can't back out or move anywhere. The ATF walk up to him and like, hey, you got to get the fuck out of here. We're going to arrest you. And he responds by kicking the shit out of one of their dogs.
One of the dogs?
To which they respond by tasing him. He responds to that by ripping the tasers out of his skin, and then they tase him again.
I will point out that he at no point was shot.
Yeah. Anyone else would have been shot where they stood. When I imagine too, the ATF is like, we cannot shoot any of these people. This will be Ruby Ridge very quickly, no matter how in the right we are. The other thing, too, is that around this time, Cliven had reached out to a multitude of militias who had responded by showing up to his ranch when the Bureau of Land Management showed up. So even if they did open fire on Ammon, they essentially would have started a gunfight out of nowhere. So this was, weirdly enough, their best decision they could have made.
Yeah, and hindsight is 2020. But again, Bureau of Land Management, you don't wait 21 years. Do it after the first year. Oh, you're not going to pay? Guess what? Cows are ours.
Yeah.
Cows now.
Don't know where we're going to put them. I don't know.
Don't care.
We'll set them free just to piss you off.
Yeah.
Give them their own land on like a national park. Yeah. Go to Yellowstone and see a bunch of cows walking around with buffaloes all confused and shit. It'll be great. This would go on for about a month, but it ended with the Bureau of Land Management just leaving, releasing all of the cows that they had captured, and then not taking any of the money that they were owed. Instead, Cliven and Ammon and a bunch of other people were charged with federal felonies, and no one involved in the whole standoff would face any penalties. In 2017, the whole affair was declared a mistrial due to federal prosecutors refusing to turn over all of their evidence to the Bundy defense team, something that very quickly causes a mistrial and is highly illegal.
Are these people willingly stepping on their dicks? Do they just like how it feels?
I guess. I mean, hypothetical, I'm assuming they were just like, we don't want the Bundys leaking this to the public and using it as, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Using it as a tool to get more people on their side. But even if they did, that would be a crime and would set them up for more charges. But yeah, for some fucking reason, they're just like, we're not giving you all of our evidence. Fucking suck it. We're the feds.
Ugh.
Yeah. And so a new trial would be attempted in 2018, but the government would decline to prosecute due to, quote, the interests of justice. I would also like to mark that in 2018, Donald Trump was president. So
I hate everything about this.
Take that as you will. But even prior to the settling of these cases, Ammon was about to embark on his own crusade, one free of his dad, and one that didn't involve the Bundy family at all. So in 2012, Dwight and Stephen Hammond, who were a pair of ranchers in Oregon, were tried on 2 counts of arson. Essentially what they had done is they had set a couple fires on federal land. I think it was, if I remember right, it was something along the lines of sometimes you start small fires to keep large wildfires from starting. And I think that was something that they were doing preemptively to make sure that any wildfires didn't end up on their land and they weren't content with what the park rangers were doing to prepare. So they just did it themselves.
Yeah, because they fucking know better than the park rangers.
Yeah, exactly. And it turns out starting a fire in a national park, kind of a crime. So they would end up getting arrested for that. And the Hammonds would end up pleading guilty, but it was mostly to drop all the other charges but the arson ones. And the pair would end up being ordered to 3 months in jail and 1 year and 1 day in jail, respectively. But in 2015, things would take a turn because it turns out the mandatory minimum for doing an arson on federal land is 5 years. And so realizing that mistake, the charges were overturned and they were both ordered back to prison to serve the remainder of their sentences.
Good. Get them off the streets.
So this story started making its rounds around Facebook and all the internets until it caught the attention of Ammon. So initially, Bundy had attempted to persuade the local sheriff to protect the Hammonds from being re-imprisoned. And the sheriff said, no, I'm not going to do that. And Bundy immediately got pissed and decided to go with Plan B. So on January 2nd of 2016, Bundy and a few hundred members of local militias met at the Safeway supermarket in Burns, Oregon. They did a march to the Hammonds' home, did a bunch of speeches, and then most people left, with the exception of about 26 people. And this is because during the protest, Ammon had told everyone his grand plan. And it was a plan that a little less than 10% of the people there were willing to actually do. And the plan was to drive on down the road to the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge where the Hammonds had set their initial fires, and they were going to take over the whole fucking park, man. And the main reason that only 10% of the people were willing to join is because Ammon did not tell a single militia leader that he was going to announce this or do this, and many of them felt immediately betrayed. So a lot of them went home, but 26 went straight to the Malheur Wildlife Refuge. Ammon called the county sheriff ahead of time to let them know what they were going to do, to which the cops responded to by just letting them do it. According to reports, cops didn't even get close to the building for at least 2 days. And when the Hammonds had found out what Ammon had done, they immediately disavowed what he was doing and told Ammon to fucking stop this shit in their name. They'd clearly committed a crime. They admitted their guilt. They realized they got lucky the first time, and they are willing to do the rest of their sentence.
Oh my God, even with the cops turning a complete blind eye to whatever the fuck you're doing now, don't.
Yeah. And so this would ensue into a takeover of federal land that would last a little over a month. And it resulted in some pretty good lulls. One of the more famous ones involved the group asking supporters to send them supplies. And this was around about the time that Reddit discovered that you could buy a 55-gallon drum of high-grade sex lube for about $1,500. They were not happy to suddenly receive a giant oil drum of lube. Some other fun details include the group removing a fence between the park and a neighboring ranch to give the ranchers more freedom, only for the ranch to immediately replace the whole thing because the fence was doing them more good than harm.
Yeah.
And local officials were also served summons to appear in court, sovereign citizen court. Turns out one of the 26 members had decided he was a judge and he was going to start prosecuting local officials. And they actually started handing out summons in town as if they were being served. But all of that weird shit makes it really easy to kind of forget that this is a really fucked up thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the folks who were there were members of the Three Percenters militia. And as goofy as it is to say, I'm a court now, they're still saying that they are forming their own extrajudicial court with their own system of punishment. That is not okay.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, haha. It sounds like it's Play School's My First Dystopia.
Yeah.
But it's really harmful.
Well, and the more fucked up thing is that as a couple of weeks went by, they started to realize the ATF and the local police weren't going to attack them and kick off whatever civil war they wanted to start. So they started trying to provoke them by breaking shit in the wildlife refuge, including trying to break into a storage unit that contained artifacts from the Burns Paiute tribe.
Oh, for the love of God.
Yeah, luckily they did not get in. And often Bundy and his followers made threats against the local town of Burns, often making it seem like the refuge was the first, and if people didn't get in line, then the town would be next.
Ooh.
It also should be noted that one of the occupiers was shot and killed by FBI agents after he had opened fire on them, and so this wasn't a thing where just like a bunch of goofy fucks did a dumb thing. People actually fucking died from this. Eventually, though, all of them would turn themselves into the FBI. Eamon would be charged with 3 counts, including one that, if he was found guilty, would result in him serving the rest of his life in federal prison. And on October 27th of 2016, Eamon Bundy was found not guilty of any charges.
I'm livid, Dusty.
If I remember correctly on that one, it was also on a technicality of some sort. So twice, Ammon Bundy has bit his thumb at the feds, and the feds have said, "Do you bite your thumb at me, sir?" And he has said, "Fuck you. That's the flag of an admiralty court. You can't, I'm traveling, not driving, I'm traveling."
I hate the story of Ammon Bundy so much because it is so viscerally in your face how wildly divergent the book of law is depending on your skin color, your religion, your creed. Yeah. I got nothing. It's infuriating. It is man children who learned that like bad attention is still attention.
Yeah. It also reminds me a lot of one of the big planks of the Black Panther Party of them being like, hey, everyone should not just be armed, but knowledgeable about how to use firearms. And that was the point that the FBI started really cracking down and assassinating people.
Yeah.
Because turns out when you're armed, cops tend to kill you less. This is a fun story all around. We're actually we're in an oasis here, Una. We're having a small moment where Ammon Bundy actually does some okay things.
This isn't an oasis, this is an eye of the storm.
So in 2018, Ammon Bundy would actually disavow the militia movement. And he did this because he did not like how much they supported Donald Trump. Now, this was entirely because at the time, there was an immigrant caravan coming up from Central America. This is like a yearly boogeyman that people do where they're like, there's an army of immigrants coming in and they're going to fucking bury our jobs and take our schools.
Yeah, rape our women.
Yeah. And Ammon Bundy shut that shit down. He's just like, it is not fair to think that every person in that caravan is a criminal. There are people coming up here who need help. There are people whose lives are in danger, and we should be offering them the asylum that they deserve.
The asylum in our sovereign towns.
Yes, where laws are non-existent. Welcome. But I mean, I can get behind at least the headline of that, where it's like, let people move here.
I don't completely trust it because it's coming from him, but I'll try to take it at face value.
Well, and then in 2020, he came out in support of Black Lives Matter. And the quote that's attributed to this, I think, will make it make a lot more sense. Quote, "You must have a problem in your mind if you think that somehow Black Lives Matter is more dangerous than the police. There needs to be a defunding of the government, and especially the police forces, because they are the ones who are actually going to seek and destroy us."
You sought that shit out, but fine, you're right. Yeah.
Not wrong.
You're not, I mean, they're not going to touch a hair on your body, but okay.
Different situations, but I get what you're saying. And it seems to be a lot more for him of just like full sovereignty than anything else. But also, I mean, the man has had like not the best interactions with authority. So I understand why that's
because he was being a dick.
You're right. Yeah.
But you just got Kate. Anyway, I'll stop. Okay.
No, it's a weird thing. And I definitely would not trust him as far as I could throw him, which isn't far because he's a very tall man.
A broken clock is still right twice a day.
Exactly. And it's time for that clock to move to a different time because in 2020, Ammon decides that he's going to move to Emmett, Idaho. And he moves there with his family, his wife, his 6 kids, to the hometown of Andy Little more than 100 years ago. And he would end up buying a 5,100 square foot home, which, being a millennial, I have no idea how big or small that is. I don't know. Is that like an apartment with a bed? Is that 5,100?
It could be a hangar or it could be a 2-flat. I don't know.
I'm assuming it's big, because if you have 6 kids, I doubt you're going to get a majority that are fine with sharing bedrooms. So... yeah. Who knows? So he moves to Emmett, Idaho, and he moves there mainly because he wants to toss himself behind a new issue, body autonomy, which is a nice way of saying the dude led a fuck ton of anti-COVID safety protests.
Oh, Ammon.
A day after Governor Little's stay-at-home order, Ammon called together a big indoor meeting of people to announce that if anyone received pressure from authorities regarding being safe during COVID, that he would aid them both financially and physically if need be. But the weird shit was this quote that came from the meeting, quote, "Self-isolation right now is not a bad thing. If it was a guideline, I would applaud it, but it's not. This is an order." So he believes that it's a good idea to self-isolate, but since it's the government telling him he has to, he's against it.
Very specifically against it, not against.
Yeah. No, I have shit to do. I'm cutting out 3 letters.
It.
I'll throw in an apostrophe for free. We're doing this. So a month later, Ammon would be true to his word and come to the defense of glowing piece of shit Sarah Walton Brady. So Sarah runs an anti-vax group that existed well before COVID, and she's been really pushing hard on that her kids shouldn't have to vaccinate themselves if they go to public school, that sort of person. And so in April of 2020, Sarah took her kids to a local playground that had been closed due to COVID. She tore down the police tape that closed off all the rides and equipment and let her kids play until the cops showed up. And she argued with them for quite some time, mainly asking over and over, but why, in regards to the park being closed, until she was finally arrested for misdemeanor trespassing. And Ammon responded to this by holding a 30-minute protest directly outside the arresting officer's home, in which 40 people showed up.
Ooh, yikes.
Yeah. Bundy's first big moment would come in August after Governor Little enacted another major mask mandate for the whole state. Ammon brought 40 of his loyal protesters to the Idaho State House in Boise, marched maskless to the front steps, forced their way past the police guarding the building full of legislators, and proceeded to interrupt a session of the State House. The group wound up breaking the glass of the entry doors to the public viewing gallery and chanted, "This is our house." No one was arrested or removed. You know how you want to talk about dry runs for January 6th? This is like T-ball practice for that. It's like, let's run into the building, see what happens. Let's just see where it flows, man.
Yeah, you got to practice gets that muscle memory.
And so they came back the next day to do it again.
Oh my God.
Only this time, Ammon and 3 others would be arrested for criminal trespass, and Bundy would resist arrest. He was then forcibly removed by a rolly chair that he had been handcuffed to. The picture, I will say, he looks deflated. And then the next day, they came back again. Only this time, the police presented Ammon with an order of no trespass, banning Ammon from the building, and the letter itself was signed directly by Brad Little. So Ammon walked right on in once again, and no one stopped him until he was arrested.
Come on!
But this time, he was promoted from rolly chair to wheelchair.
This is not a good look, Ammon.
So one of the things with this is the court case for this hadn't been decided when I first started research for this. But back on July 1st, he was found guilty, sentenced to 48 hours of community service and a $750 fine.
Oh, are you kidding me?
He could have been in jail and kicked out of the race, but nope, we're gonna minimum
community service.
Post January 6th, he was given community service for breaking into the state legislature. Probably even sadder though is Ammon got kicked out of his kid's high school football game for not wearing a mask, and when he refused to leave the parking lot, the game was called at halftime. I mean, lucky for him, his kid's high school team was winning by such a large number that the other team didn't demand a forfeit. They were just like, we were going to lose anyway, fuck it. And everyone just went home.
I hope the community turns on him for that, because apparently nothing else is working.
Now he's a fine, upstanding gentleman.
Hate this.
But the thing, and I gotta love this, Ammon doesn't just have a platform, he has 22 pages of policy online, and what he calls the Keep Idaho, caps lock, Idaho plan.
He's not even from Idaho. He doesn't speak Basque.
Fucking Muchahina, I swear to God.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 22 pages that I was able to summarize into at least half a page of bullet points. So it's not, there's a lot more details and he goes on and on, but but here's what Ammon would do to keep Idaho. Eliminate property tax and income tax, which would remove $3.3 billion from the state budget.
As stated previously.
Take all federally owned land in Idaho and either make it available for public use, which would mean unregulated hunting, fishing, camping, etc., or sell it for private use and then replace lost tax revenue with that income. And he also believes that due to supply and demand, that if you make more land available to people to build homes, then housing costs are going to go down, baby.
That's not how any of it works.
Supply and a demand. The demand is high, so we're just going to make more supply. Such a bad idea. Another plan is to make Idaho a, quote, health freedom and body autonomy state, by which he means that you can take any treatment or medicine that you want, no matter what. It's pretty much a complete deregulation of medicine and healthcare. He would also remove all vaccine mandates, including childhood inoculations required to attend public schools.
Yeah, keep Idaho chakra.
For a bit of fun, he would make Bitcoin and Ethereum accepted forms of payment to the state.
So dumb.
He would release anyone guilty of a nonviolent crime and no longer jail anyone for drug-related crimes. I can support that.
Yes.
He would encourage cops to, quote, act with their conscience and refuse unlawful orders.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have been working on their conscience. That's part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yes. He would eliminate civil asset forfeiture, which is essentially when the cops can just take shit from you on just assuming you did a crime, so they're going to take your money so you can't do said crime, and you'll have to money again.
It's stealing the way we just straight up stole land from the people who were already here. That's civil forfeiture.
He would issue an executive order to ban abortion, with the goal of that ban suddenly ending up in front of the Supreme Court, with the goal of overturning Roe v. Wade.
And here's where the wanking motion comes.
Yes. He would like to increase parental rights to a degree that care and treatment of children is unregulated and removes all rights of the child. Quote, in particular, this will preserve religious liberties, homeschooling, and a parent's right to refuse medical treatment for their children. And he would push to enact the Parental Rights Amendment to the Idaho Constitution, which states the above, but does at least say that if the child's life was clearly at risk, then the government is allowed to step in.
Yeah, we definitely should get rid of that provision.
That's one they want to keep. They want to put that, not so much keep, but that's like their safety thing, where it's like, you've been fake healing for too long, now we got to step in and get you some medicine. He would like to end SNAP, TANF, and WIC throughout the state, stating, quote, it is the family's responsibility to provide for themselves first, then the church, and never the state. I always love this assumption that churches are good at social services. Like, outside of the United Methodists, it's a crapshoot.
There's so many grifters out there.
Yeah. But also, like, I mean, it's not like the Church of Latter-day Saints has a lot of social service programs. They have a lot of thrift shops and they have some programs, but not to the level of SNAP and TANF. You kind of have to have a lot of fucking money to fund those things.
There's a huge infrastructure to suddenly put up storefronts to house the food that people could then come buy.
Yep. Not to mention if you're not even a member of a church, you're just fucked.
Right. Yeah.
And the final three, remove all state licensing for careers and jobs. So you want to be a barber, fucking barb. Go barb somewhere.
Architects, welcome.
Whatever, man. Fucking, it was build a log cabin. If it stays up, great. The market will decide.
Oh my God.
He would like to use blockchain for state interactions. And finally,
he doesn't know what the fuck a blockchain is. Get that the fuck off your platform.
Look, you push a chain through a cinder block, and then you use that to interact with people. Anyway, and finally, he would like to force government employees to be nicer to people.
What?
Yeah, I mean, don't you dream of the day that you go to the DMV and you're greeted with a cheery smile that says, hey, Una, what brings you to the DMV today? How can I help you?
I don't feel like
for that to only be responded to by pure hate.
You know what?
It's why everyone at the DMV is so mad. They get yelled at all the time, so kindness is not worth the effort.
No, if anything, I would want this to go in the opposite direction. I don't feel like the servers at Applebee's should have to be nice to me. They're not getting paid enough.
State law, if you work at Perkins, you could swear at people.
Yes.
Mandatory tips, and you could call someone whatever you want.
Sizzlers, more like shivlers.
Yeah. Yeah, I got stabbed there once, but they at least let you throw peanuts on the floor. I mean, I guess that's something. Which leads us to our final candidate, Una. This has been a long, strange trip. And it's about to get worse because this particular candidate, I think, has the best chance of actually winning. And it's someone who
Tell me and get it over with.
Wait, do you hear that, Una? Oh shit, that's Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeehan's music. And you know she ain't wearing a mask. No. So Janice McGeehan was born in Las Cruces, New Mexico in 1963, and at some point her family moved to Idaho. She graduated from high school in 81, and then 4 years later she gets her degree in finance and accounting from the University of Arizona. She'd return to Idaho, get married to her husband Jim, and via him began her first forays into business. The pair would purchase her father-in-law's torque converter company called High Torque, and from there opened the Idaho Transmission Company, which is like an auto parts warehouse. And then Janice opened her own restaurant in Idaho Falls, the Celt Pub and Grill. And look, I want to dunk on this place so fucking hard, but she does something completely different than any other Irish restaurant I've been to, and it's a thing that usually infuriates me. See, there's a thing called shepherd's pie. It's delicious. It's like a stew in a pie form, and it's covered in mashed potatoes, and it's the best. But so many places are like, we sell shepherd's pie, and they put beef in that motherfucker. And no, a shepherd's pie is lamb. If it is beef, it's a cottage pie. I will go to war over this.
I love a good hill to die on.
In Janice, her restaurant sells a cottage pie. It's named right, and it's the one thing that I will defend her on. Apparently the place makes its own corn beef.
Ooh.
For fuck's sake, it sounds delicious. I am angry and hungry, and this is exactly how I feel whenever I want to drink a Yingling, because shitty people shouldn't make tasty things.
Yeah. It's so upsetting when they do.
Yeah, I mean, the place actually looks really great, and it infuriates me.
Right.
So congrats, Janice. You got one on me. Fuck off. So Janice would make her first push into politics in 1998 when she ran for county commissioner of Bonneville County in Idaho. Now, there isn't a ton out there, but it looks like she lost the Republican primary because she is not listed in the general election, so that's just the assumption I have. But according to her campaign website, she, quote, learned a lot from that race. And in 2002, she would try her hand at a higher office and ran for the Idaho House of Representatives. And I mean, when I say try her hand, and when I mean ran for a race, I mean she was the only candidate to enter the GOP primary and then go to the general election without any other competitors.
No!
Literally, all she had to do was the paperwork, and suddenly Janice McGeehan was a state representative with no other work.
No!
And this started a theme, because it wouldn't be until the 2006 general election that Janice would finally have to actually race against someone else. And it would be a 30-year-old by the name of Scott Cannon who would go up against Janice as the only Democrat to enter the race in the primary and then the general election. Now, there's not a lot out there about Scott. Best I can tell is he works in telecom sales, but I did find his budget for that first race, and it looks like his entire budget was about $725. And look, I'm not going to slam the guy for trying, especially in a district that is literally all the land that surrounds the city limits of Idaho Falls and is clearly extremely red. And as I say, the biggest mistake Democrats make is that they just never run in these areas consistently. So genuinely good on you for trying, Scott. And that being said, he lost 71-29.
Wow.
And he would challenge Janice again in 2008, this time with a budget of $1,500, and somehow ended up losing worse, 73-27. And after that, he never ran for office again. And Janice, for the rest of her state house tenure, would never face anyone else.
Wow, not even another Republican.
No, from 2002 to 2010, the only person she ever had to face was Scott Cannon, which makes what she did as a state rep even more frustrating. So during her tenure, she served on multiple committees, but she was the chairwoman of the House Wealth and Welfare Committee. And as chairwoman, she cut Medicaid funding and voted against allowing Idaho to make their own state health insurance program.
Who let her in?
Well, and the crazy thing is, I think the reason that they gave her that chairmanship is that she was a board member for the local Red Cross and was a member of the local United Way's disbursement committee, which, if I remember right, essentially decides what organizations get United Way money. And so I think they just assumed, oh, she probably knows what this is. She understands welfare and giving people things that they need to live.
Yeah, it's like, she's a woman? No.
But yeah, so in 2012, she decided she didn't want to, file paperwork and walk back to work again. So she retired. But she didn't stay out of politics for very long. I mean, after all that non-competition, those stress-free campaigns, those are the kind of things that can keep you up at night prior to an easy 8 hours of rest. So in 2016, she would return to another easy-to-win race and served as the vice chairman for the Donald Trump campaign in Idaho. Janice would serve as a delegate for Trump at the GOP nominating convention, and Trump would go on to win Idaho with 59% of the vote. In 2018, as we know, she ran for lieutenant governor, and this would end up being the closest race she had been in 2 decades. She was facing 2 state senators and another state representative, as well as a former advisor to Dick Cheney. It was one of those rare races where literally everyone running, on paper at least, was highly qualified. And even the last place finisher still got 14% of the vote, which is why it's all the more frustrating that Janice would win with 29%. If I remember right, it was quite a shock that she ended up winning. A lot of folks assumed either one of the state senators or the Cheney aide would win. And so this is a complete out of nowhere sort of thing. She would end up facing cybersecurity expert Kristen Cullum of the Democrats and would cruise to a 60-40 win, which for the Dems in Idaho is a pretty good showing. Which brings us back to the present and Janice's recent attempt to usurp Brad Little's power by doing an executive order banning COVID protections. And like I said, since that day, shit's only gotten fuckier. For one, her campaign website is extremely vague. It's a lot of grandiose statements with absolutely no policy whatsoever. And then comes the matter of who endorsed her. Their state representative, Chad Christensen, who is a proud member of the John Birch Society, as well as January coup attempt runners-up militia, the Oath Keepers.
Yikes.
Then there's former chairman of the Boise County GOP, who's been making a real habit of comparing treatment of anti-vaxxers to that of Jews during the Holocaust. But then there's the big one. Ammon Bundy's former besties, the 3%er militia. Now, I haven't said much about these dudes, mainly because I've been waiting till now. But the general gist is that they're named after the myth that only 3% of the population of America had fought in the Revolutionary War. In actuality, that number is about 15%. The group was founded in 2008 by Mike Vanderboe, a dude who has claimed to have been a former member of the Socialist Workers' Party, who left the group after learning about libertarianism. So thanks for that.
Oh my God.
Much appreciated. I doubt that's the true story, but whatever. During the 90s, Mike became an Oklahoma City bombing conspiracy theorist, and then gradually moved into the militia movement via the Oath Keepers. Initially, he founded the 1st Alabama Cavalry Regiment in the mid-90s, but the Anti-Defamation League pretty quickly found out that Mike was probably the only member of his own militia, which was probably why he was the commander.
Amazing.
Undeterred, Mike would join the Oath Keepers for a decade, and then form the 3%ers while maintaining loose ties with his former people. Probably one of the more unique views of the 3%er group is that they take state rights to a bit of an extreme extreme, mainly that they view county sheriffs as the people in the country with supreme power, since they're the ones who are ensuring that the laws are carried out, and that the federal government are usurpers of that power.
Man, this is creepy.
Which makes it kind of weird that in 2017, the group started offering security services for Trump-related events. But more notably, they also supplied security for the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. And it should be noted that affiliates and members of the Three Percenters have also done the following: planned a biological attack in Georgia, plotted a bombing at a bank in downtown Oklahoma City, succeeded in bombing an Islamic center in Bloomington, Minnesota, broke onto the property of Democrat Governor of Kentucky Andy Beshear's home, and hung an effigy of the governor with the words "Sic Semper Tyrannis" written across it, partook in a plot to kidnap Democratic Governor of Michigan Gretchen Whitmer, and were heavily present at the January 6th coup attempt.
Those fools, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not all of them were 3%er members. There were like a couple people in the group who were, but they were there.
But they were there. At the start of it, like the vibe is very like Hell's Angels at Altamont, and then it just gets so much worse.
It's like, what if we gave the Hell's Angels more jobs? So yeah, it's not really great that Janice has not only gotten their endorsement, but that she also openly associates with these fuckers and has used them repeatedly for her own personal security detail.
Oh no.
Back in
2018,
when she was running for lieutenant governor, there was a televised debate with her and Kristen Cullum. And for some reason, she comes walking in with like these 3%ers as her security detail. And of course, all the journalists are like, why are they here with you? And she's like, oh, they're veterans. They're just here to show support. But we have been getting death threats. And it's like, Kristen Cullum's like a 60-year-old woman who is incredibly unassuming and just trying to do a nice thing. It's like, I don't see how you're getting death threats unless it's just baffling. Yeah. And so they're kind of directly associated with her. But that's nothing compared to her soon to be next endorsement. Because on June 23rd, she went to New York City to kiss the ring of the American fascist himself, Donald Trump. Now, her press release is mostly about how they talked about issues dear to Idaho, but it should also be noted that the meeting took place right after she went on Tucker Carlson's show to decry critical race theory as, quote, toxic and un-American. And all that being said, we should at least end with what she believes in, at least according to her campaign website. According to that, she supports, quote, natural, non-traditional health remedies, removing occupational licensing mandates and other business regulations. She supports weaning Idaho off of federal funds, state sovereignty in all of its forms, truly believes the last election was fraudulent and that Trump actually won, is pro-life, only supports, quote, traditional marriage as defined in the Constitution, which, spoiler alert, the Constitution doesn't mention marriage, yo.
No.
It mentions, living a good life and finding your own happiness. And many courts have said, yeah, that kind of indicates you can marry whoever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Is this one of those things where it's like the lines have finally blurred in her head in terms of like what is the Bible and what is the Constitution?
I was just about to say it's the King James Constitution.
Yes.
And she also would really like to pass the Women's Informed Consent Law, which would require women to visit a crisis pregnancy center prior to having an abortion. She also makes a claim that she tried to fix hospital capacity during the COVID pandemic by bringing in more state-of-the-art technology to Idaho hospitals, which, yeah, they could fix some things, but it should also be noted that during the dark winter, the primary health medical group stated that 20% of their staff were out due to they themselves being infected with COVID, and that if they didn't get help anytime soon, they would have to start rationing care within a week. And when you don't have people, it kind of doesn't matter how fancy your stuff is. You still need people to operate it. You still need people who know how to make it work. And it also doesn't help that Janice states on her website that the equipment that they would have got would have been from a company called Ahern Rentals. So Don Ahern is a very strong Trump supporter from Nevada, and he runs a company that rents out construction equipment and trucks.
Oh, Lord. Well, which is fine because you're going to get rid of licensing anyway.
Yeah.
So you can just hire all the nurses you need.
Look, we got a ton of bodies. Who do you think's going to haul them out? You think a dude can do that? No, man, you need a state-of-the-art Caterpillar backhoe for that bullshit.
Oh, my God.
And yeah, it's like, I'm sure he was very much just like, I've been renting shit all my life. I probably know a guy. I can fucking do this.
Yeah. No one got paid. Everyone's being told checks in the mail.
Yeah. And so this plan would not be enacted, and Janice would accuse Brad Little of leaking her plan to the press, where she was duly mocked. To which he said, yeah, this was just a plan to discredit me through the fake news. Despite it just being like, your plan's bad and you should feel bad, but I don't think you can ever feel shame, can you, Janice?
We just, in fact, learned you're incapable of it.
Just like, I name food properly. How can I be a bad person? God damn it. And of course, she is against critical race theory, as well as, quote, all Marxist socialist ideology taught in schools. Now, Una, look, we both went to public school. We both learned about Marxist theory.
We did.
Right? I mean, look, we know the difference between Marxism and Stalinism and Leninism.
Honestly, we would have, except it was in the second to last chapter, and we just never got that far. We ran out of time.
100%. This is the shit that drives me fucking nuts. There is no time in any level of high school or middle school to be able to get to that part in history. You're lucky if you get to the Gilded Era.
Yes,
and
truly.
And even today, there have been multiple times where it's like, all right, this weekend is the weekend I'm going to learn the difference between Stalinism and Leninism and Marxism. And I get 3 sentences in and throw my computer because it's all just someone invented shit because they were the premier and they had to.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's Lenin being pissy at Trotsky, Trotsky being pissy at Lenin, Lenin dying, Stalin going like Napoleon level bonkers. That's it.
It's so dumb. It's so fucking dumb. But also, she would like to add classes to high school. Classes that teach kids how to, quote, build, design, engineer, cook, serve, compute, barber, and work as police, firefighters, nurses, doctors, electricians, and plumbers.
Yeah, whip those widgets into shape.
Yeah. Look, I mean, some of this I get. It would be really cool if high schools offered like an intro to architecture, an intro to design class. That'd be really freaking cool.
Yes.
And if you decide early on that you really want to go into a trade, I mean, that kind of exists already in schools if you want to go to like VOTEC or something like that.
And it's starting to get more and more appreciated.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not like a point of shame. It's actually just like, oh, you're planning very well for your future. That's awesome.
And I think this might just be because I watch an incredible amount of This Old House and they show these aspects of it too, but also just an awareness too of like equalizing of neurodivergent learning and an awareness that it's like some people genuinely learn with their hands.
Exactly.
And it's no different than like having your nose in a book at the end of the day.
And even if we're talking about like basic life skills like cooking, I would love non-gendered home ec. That would be amazing. Looking back, I really wish I had that. So I'm like, oh, this is how a washing machine works. This is how to properly wash dishes. Awesome. Genuinely. This is how to make a roux. Great.
Even if the like fix it yourself campaigns like grow further in by state and then hopefully at the federal level to allow people to like fix their own iPhone or fix their own computers, like that would be a fantastic, easy section for a semester in middle school.
Yeah.
Like, hey, your screen's cracked. Here's how to fix it.
Be amazing. Yeah. So literally the only thing I have a problem with in this entire pitch is there should not be a high school class on how to be a server.
No, the problem is that it's clearly like you are no longer a free thinking individual member of society. You are a cog in the system.
Yeah. Also, what do you teach in that class? Like, here's how to bury your emotions. Here's how to be yelled at and not react.
Right. Here's how to patiently walk to the back fridge where you can cry.
Yeah, the cooler is a great place for that. You just have to watch out for freezing tears.
They're like these kids are not getting like cool sommelier classes.
Oh, no. At best, you're learning how much tip you should be getting and at what percentage to get mad. Oh, man. So as shitty as that started, the end of it, I would at least go to the table to negotiate that. Because I doubt it's for the reasons that she wants, but there's some good that I see in it that I think she'd immediately shut down just with, no, certain people should just serve me. Certain people need to work for me, and I don't value what they do. And that's Janice McGeehan. So there hasn't been any polling to date, but there was a straw poll run at the Boise Gun Show.
Oh my God.
Where only 3 people were on the poll. Brad Little got 16 votes. Ed Humphreys got 16 votes. And Janice got the remaining 217. It seems really unprofessional to me that there are no polling companies willing to figure out what the fuck is going on in this race. Because, like, this has some Marjorie Taylor Greene things that could be fucking happening. Like,
100%.
Brad Little's no fucking saint, but he's not going out there taking away the rights of children on a regular basis. Well, unless they're trans.
Yeah, no, there are serious implications for people who cannot vote because they're minors with this election. Like throughout this entire episode, just like a constant reminder that Idaho wants to, at first flush, sounds like the hippy dippy crystal woo-woo therapy of Southern California, which is in itself not good, but is actually like extreme, abusive, barely Christian fundamentalism.
Yeah, it's kind of like Vermont's evil twin.
Yes, it's the foil to Vermont.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not saying everyone in Idaho is this way. It's just when you vote some of these people in, it does make me question a little bit.
Right, because they're playing to a particular voter base, which is interesting because I doubt that base actually votes because they don't believe in government.
Well, and that's the thing is like what makes me so worried about Janice McGeehan actually winning this is that there was a huge movement throughout the 90s and 2000s. It had a proper name, and of course I'm forgetting it, where it was essentially this plan that all white nationalists and the militia movement would move to the Pacific Pacific Northwest to essentially set up their own governments in these rural communities and just kind of take over the area. And Idaho is a very big place for that.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate and weird. But I mean, especially when you look at the people who are probably going to be running against them. There are two unknown independents. You have a perennial candidate for the Constitution Party who legally changed his name to Pro-Life, who is running. He's also a strawberry farmer, which I find kind of, I found it actually kind of adorable. It's such a bummer, but yeah. And for Democrats, only one person has announced that they're running. A woman named Melissa Sue Robinson. She's a network administrator, a trans rights activist, and has run for office in Michigan and Minnesota pretty much every year since around 2004.
So she has no chance.
No. Her Twitter is a lot of retweets of Janice, and she doesn't really talk a ton about policy. And in the past when she's run, she's stated repeatedly that she's not going to run on LGBTQ issues, stating that she's a serious candidate. She seems to be a lot in the vein of like a Caitlyn Jenner sort of a candidate, I would say, where she's not super Democrat, but she's definitely at least liberal leaning, but kind of views LGBTQ issues as not important for the state, which is, as a trans woman, that seems kind of weird, but I don't know. I mean, she's run there more on her own, so it is what it is. But aside from that, there's a chance that Lauren McLean, who's the current mayor of Boise, might be running, but she just won that seat in 2019. It's the odds of that happening and her throwing away that job after defeating a 16-year incumbent seems pretty rare. And on the other hand, you have Paulette Jordan, who is my political crush. She's amazing. Look, like her politics don't align with me 100%, but as a candidate, she's badass as fuck. At the age of 30, I believe, she was elected to the Coeur d'Alene Tribe Council for 3 years. She was elected as Idaho House of Representatives member at the age of 34, flipping a Republican district in Moscow, Idaho. Served there for a couple of terms, ran for governor, lost bad, ran for senator in 2020, lost bad again. And like a lot of her policies are interesting and very much more in the centrist moderate vein, but she's the best they got in that state. And I don't know if she'll run again because it would be a third major race in 4 years, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So it might just come down to like, can Brad Little hold out? Can Ammon Bundy and Ed Humphrey steal enough votes away from Janice? Like, what the fuck is going to happen?
Well, for free, I'm going to give Brad Little and everyone else some campaign slogan ideas. For Brad Little, it should be Brad Little, big vote, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then anyone else, like, I will be disappointed if someone doesn't go with a cheesy as hell wake up sheeple. Because
God. How has no one done that yet in Idaho?
Yes.
I'll close things out. I think we need to bring back an old tradition. Una, fuck, marry, banish.
Let's round it down to 3. Yeah. We've heard a bunch.
Yeah, I'm not saying we should name everyone that we've talked about, but yeah, between Janice McGeehan, Ammon Bundy, Ed Humphreys, Lisa Marie, Cody Usabel, and 2 ghosts. We're not counting them. There's not enough to know about them.
Okay. I'm just going to stick with the top 3 of Lisa McGee, Ammon Bundy, and Brad Littles. Probably banish Janice. I'd fuck Ammon because he just seems crazy. And
for like so scared to say that.
One night of passion, and then marry Brad Little because he's stable. He comes from money. He's a nice enough guy.
Could live in a concrete rebar home.
Yes. Yeah. So that's my go.
Yeah, I would definitely banish Janice because you get her out of there. I'd probably buy a restaurant and receivership and then keep everything exactly as it is. I would fuck Cody Usabel because that man's got a kick-ass bike, and it would be that ride from the Celt all the way to his home on fucking Delilah. Oh my God, that'd be a time. That'd be a great time. And I would probably steal a hat from his company. Actually, no, I'd leave like $10 on the dresser and then take a hat and leave.
Take a hat from
He's a small businessman. I can't steal from him.
So true.
I'd marry Brad Little. He, it would really suck just because every other month I'd be like, Brad, why are you so fucking mean to trans kids? What's your goddamn deal, man? And it'd be the thing that would lead to our divorce. And I would try my damnedest to get the home. In the end, I'd get 1,200 sheep, and I would turn those 1,200 sheep.
Yes, but from that 1,200 sheep, you would build your empire.
Jesus, we were walking down the beach, and I only saw 1,201 footprints. Where were you? And the answer is riding on a fucking sheep.
Coming through on Delilah.
Oh my God, Delilah just ripping down the fucking road and be like, oh man, I could have married Cody. Oh, what could have been? And on that note, I think we should end this very long episode of Gadfly. Everyone, thank you so much for taking part in this experimental episode. I'm very excited for the future ones. As a bit of a hint, we're looking at Alaska. We're absolutely looking at Ohio. And of course, when this episode comes out, is the filing deadline for the California recall. So as they say in the 70s, you got your sweet Vivi, we're going to be looking at that list. It's 80 people already, 6 of which are Kevin's. So
I'm going to need to stop at the dispensary after this.
Oh my God, yes. And on that note, everyone, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Gadfly.
Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?